With mortgage rates up to 8%, housing inventory at all-time lows, and economic uncertainty clouding over all of our heads, it is tough out there for your average homebuyer. But I'm starting to see an opportunity in this market that I think a lot of homeowners are overlooking, and that is buying a new construction home. So is it better to buy a new construction home in today's market, or is buying an existing home still the better option for most homebuyers? Well, I've done both, and I think you're going to be surprised at what I have to say. Let's get to it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you didn't already know, my name's Jay Costa. I'm a real estate agent, builder, and investor here in Northern New Jersey. And if you get value out of this video, please smash that like button down below and also consider subscribing, because we are building a tight-knit community here of like-minded individuals looking to build wealth in real estate. So if you'd like to learn more and follow along and join our community, definitely hit the subscribe button. You can also reach me on Instagram at RealJCosta and on my website, RealJCosta.com. I'll put a link in the description box down below. So I know what it is like both to build a home as well as to buy a new home and an existing home. There's pros to buying a new construction home as well as cons. In this video, that's what we're going to go over, the pros and cons of buying a new construction home, specifically in this market, and also I'll compare it to buying an already existing home, and we'll go over the pros and cons of that. I'll also share with you why I think this may be a good opportunity in this market to purchase a home and avoid those 8% mortgage interest rates. Let's go over the three main ways to buy a new construction home. Number one, you can buy a single individual spec house built by a local builder. Now, this means that the land was most likely either vacant or there was an existing structure on it already, like an old house or something that was knocked down. A local builder bought the property, put a new construction home, dug a new foundation, everything, and they're going to sell it for a profit. Number two, you could buy a new construction home that's part of a larger subdivision. This is when there's a large area of undeveloped land that a pretty large builder, and sometimes even nationwide builders, they buy that large piece of property. These homes are also brand new, just like the first option with a local builder, but sometimes in order to save on cost, they'll not maybe dig for a new foundation, and they'll just put a slab to save on excavation costs. Once again, this will depend on your area specifically and what your area and what the home buyer in your market is looking for. Some home buyers don't want basements at all, like certain areas where maybe flooding is an issue, and others need a basement for like a growing family or something. Many times these new subdivisions are part of a newly created homeowners association, or HOA. And when you buy this home, there will be an HOA fee that goes towards landscaping, snow removal, liability insurance, as well as just general exterior maintenance on the whole property. Now, this also can include new construction townhomes. It doesn't have to be always single family, so keep that in mind. And those will have an HOA fee as well. And lastly, you may go look at what's called a new construction home, and you go inside. The first floor is really beautiful, second floor is really beautiful, all brand new, right? But then you go into the basement, and the basement has like really low ceilings, or it's not a full basement. It's like half of it is a crawl space. Most likely, this is what's called a new construction home that was built on an already existing foundation. This is when a local builder buys a piece of property with a structure on it, usually an older, smaller style home, like a Cape Cod house or a ranch house or something like that, completely demolishes the entire house, but keeps the existing foundation in ground and builds on top of it. Now, this may sound like corners are being cut somehow, but it's usually done for two different reasons. Number one, it saves a ton on the building cost because you don't have to dig for a new foundation. And if they add on to it somehow to make it bigger, usually the rest of that is not. And second, usually the town or municipality that the house is in, they'll value a new construction home built on an existing foundation different than a completely new construction home on a brand new foundation. So you'll most likely save on the taxes after it's done as well. This is something very common in my area of Northern New Jersey because the property taxes are so damn high. Now, one last way you can get yourself into a new construction home is to simply buy the land yourself and build yourself. But I want to save that for a topic of a different video. If you want a video on how to build your own home and what I think, if it's a good idea or a bad idea, definitely drop a comment in the comment section down below, and I will start working on that for you guys right away for next week's video. So like I said, there's positives and negatives to buying a new construction home. So let's go over first the positives, the pros. Well, the very first obvious positive of buying a new construction home is look at it, it's new. You'll have a new roof, new AC, new heat, new utilities, new plumbing, new electrical, new everything. And the benefit of this can frankly be overlooked by home buyers because there is a lot of value to not having to worry about different parts, different utilities and mechanicals of your home going bad right away. Number two, you'll get a more modern layout. So if you like an open floor plan, new construction will be right up your alley. You'll also get modern finishes as well. Things like plumbing fixtures and light fixtures and just general finishes like kitchen cabinetry and things like that will be more modern than an already existing home. Number four, with new construction homes, most of the time, you're gonna get a higher ceiling height. Have you ever walked into a home, it's like 3,500 square feet, let's say, big house, but you still kind of feel like cramped and like not that much space? Most likely that's because they have your standard 8-foot ceiling heights in there. A new construction home very often has at least 9-foot ceilings, and that totally adds to having a house that feels even bigger than it actually is. It feels airy and spacious, and there's a lot of value to that. And there's a little builder's tip for you here as well. If you're looking at a new construction home and it has high ceilings, check out the height of the doors as well, because when you have higher ceiling heights in the living spaces, it allows you to put higher doors as well, and that's another one of those luxury changes to a new construction house. With a new construction home, you'll also, of course, get better energy efficiency. It'll be way better insulated, the heat system will be more efficient, the AC system will be more efficient, and because of all that, you'll get lower heating and air conditioning bills. And also, in this market, if you choose to buy a new construction home, you may actually get, as a home buyer, a deal. That's because in this market, builders are motivated to get their homes sold. In fact, many of the nationwide bigger home builders are actually giving incentives if you use their in-house lender for your mortgage. They're offering incentives like buying down your interest rate so you could avoid that 8% interest rate. They're also offering many of the times closing cost credit. So if you're dealing with a large nationwide home builder, I would definitely ask about any incentives that they have in regards to using their in-house lender for a mortgage. When you buy a new construction home, you'll also be getting a builder's warranty. This will depend on what state you're in, but here in New Jersey, it is state law that the builder has to offer a 10-year builder's warranty on the home. I mean, that is huge. Going back to what I said previously, where you're getting everything new. Now, you have to keep in mind that just because everything's new doesn't mean things can go wrong. Things will always go wrong all the time. It's just part of home ownership. But with having that 10-year builder's warranty is absolutely huge, because let's say your AC was just a lemon and 2.5 years in, it goes bad. You go through the builder's warranty and it's fully covered by that insurance. And lastly, timing wise, you may be able to actually purchase the property or go under contract on the property of this new construction home that you want to buy while it's still being built. And this does two things. First, it allows the move out of where you're living now and the move into the new construction home a little bit easier and a little less hectic. And second, you may actually be able to pick out the finishes, giving you like kind of a semi-custom home. As you can see, buying new construction definitely has its perks and advantages, but buying an existing home that's already there also has its perks and advantages. Number one, you'll often have larger lots on a home that's already existing than when compared to a new construction home. That's because most of the time an existing home was built a long time ago, when land was not as expensive and space was at less of a premium. This is especially true in the suburbs of major cities. This meant that very often homes built in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s were on larger lots than what are simply developed now. Number two, with an existing home, you're gonna get some character most of the time. Listen, a new home is great. Everything's brand new and there's a lot of benefits to that, as we already went over. But I can't be the only one that loves walking into an older home and enjoying and appreciating the character that was built into that home from all of the families that lived there prior. There's something to be said for that, and there is value to that as well. This also goes for the street that the homes are on. Many times already existing homes, especially older ones, have all of these huge, beautiful, matured and aged trees going down the street. That is just simply breathtaking a lot of the time, especially during the fall and autumn season. Number three, you'll get a traditional look. You'll get a more traditional look in an existing home than when compared to a new construction home. So if you're less keen on the more contemporary style, or you don't love having like a cookie cutter new home, buying an older existing home is going to be right up your alley. Number 4, the extra amenities that you may want on your home may already be there. So if you're looking for a home that has a pool or that has a fenced-in yard, you're going to be better off looking at already existing homes. And the reason for that is most of the time, new construction homes do not have a pool or do not have a fenced-in yard without you paying extra for it anyway. Number 5, you will also more often with an existing home, an already existing home, get better proximity to a city or urban areas. Of course, this will depend on the area that you're in, but many times new construction homes are built on large subdivisions, like we mentioned before, by big, large nationwide builders. And these larger subdivisions are built on large pieces of undeveloped land. Well, where are large pieces of undeveloped land? A little bit further from the whatever major city you live outside of. Now, one way to get by this is to buy that individual spec home built by a local builder, because they're buying an existing home and they're just getting rid of it and knocking it down and putting a new home there. A lot of the times those types of new construction homes will be close to the city. In fact, any build that I've done here in Northern New Jersey has been just that. I bought a property with an existing home there, knocked it down, put a new home there, and all of those have been within, let's say, 20 minutes of Manhattan. So that is probably the only way to get a new construction home with close proximity to a city, because most of the time, if you're looking at a subdivision of all new homes, chances are it's a little bit further out, which may be okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it may be a little further out from whatever urban area or city that you need to commute to or whatever. Maybe one of the biggest positives to buying an already existing home is the time frame. If you're on a time crunch and cannot be overly flexible in regards to moving into a property, you're gonna almost always have to look at an already existing home. In fact, you may be able to move into that already existing home within 4 to 6 weeks of getting an offer accepted. So we've gone over the pros of a new construction, we've gone over the pros of an existing home, but each one of these has their own negative drawbacks as well. So first, let's get started on the negatives, the cons of buying a new construction home. So like I just said, you're gonna have a longer wait time when buying new construction. You could move into an already existing home within 4 to 6 weeks of getting an offer accepted. The second biggest negative to buying a new construction home is simply the price. Paying more for a new construction property than an existing property. There's no doubt about it. And your budget will not go as far. Number 3, you're going to have higher taxes on a new property when compared to an existing property. Number 4, you will a lot of the time get a smaller lot, as we mentioned before. Number 5, you're going to be further from the urban areas and cities. And number 6, as I mentioned, if you like trees running down the street or on your property, big old aged matured trees that look beautiful, you're going to be waiting a while, because when you're building a new house, you got to take down most of the trees right around it anyway. Now, let's get to the existing resale home negatives, because there's negatives to that also. Number 1, this is the biggest negative to buying an existing home in this market, and that is buyer competition. Nothing sells as quickly as a ready to move in existing home in this market. Now, even though the homes are not brand new, maybe they have a new kitchen, new bathrooms, and to a home buyer who's not really valuing a new roof compared to a 10-year-old roof that much, these are ready to move in, they're ready to go, they check kind of all of the boxes for most people. That is why they're the most desirable homes on this market. Number 2, you're often dealing with an emotional seller. So when you go to make an offer on an existing home, an existing property, there's a good chance that the seller is valuing their antique light fixture way more than you are because you think it's ugly. Number 3, you're going to get a dated floor plan a lot of the time with an older home. You may not get that open floor plan or contemporary floor plan that a new construction home provides. For instance, it may have a formal dining room or a formal sitting room or living room that you know you simply will never use, and you just see it as wasted space. And number 4, you may need pretty substantial and extensive repairs in the short to medium term of buying the property. Now, of course, you're gonna get that full home inspection when you buy the property, but unlike a new construction house, you're not getting a brand new roof, a brand new HVAC system, brand new plumbing, brand new electrical, brand new everything. These things may be 10 years old, 5 years old, 2 years old, 20 years old. And even if they're working right now, doesn't guarantee they're going to continue working into the future after buying the property. So if you buy a home with, let's say, 7 years of use left in their roof, you're essentially buying that property plus the cost of a new roof in 7 years. And realize that just because someone says there's 7 years left doesn't mean it'll go that far. It could only go 2, and you may be stuck with a $20,000 bill to fix the roof. Now, this is not to dissuade you from buying an already existing home. It's just part of home ownership. And things can go bad with new construction as well, but you do get that builder's warranty that does cover cover most of it. So, should you buy new or should you buy an already existing home in this market? Well, if you're the type of person that doesn't want any large upcoming expenses on repairs hanging over your head for a long period of time, if you could swing it, buy a new construction home. I actually bought an older home about 3 years ago. It was built in 1961 or 62, and I love it here, but things are always coming up. The older the home is, the more things break, and you just have to always be on top of it all the time. Having a completely new home, along with that builder's warranty, gives you peace of mind that an already existing home will never provide. Also, if you like open floor plans and modern finishes, once again, if you can swing it financially, buy a new construction property for sure. A lot of people actually think that they can buy an older home and then just redo things as time goes on, and you can do that, but trust me from experience as well, it's not as easy as what they make it seem on HGTV. When you redo a kitchen or redo floors, it's a mess. It's a disaster, especially if you have a family. You have to close off certain doors. The dust gets everywhere. You're living in a construction site. It's not an enjoyable experience at all until you're fully done. So new construction is great, but you need to move soon. You almost have to buy an already existing home. There are move-in ready existing homes out there to buy that you can move in within 4 weeks of getting an offer accepted. And that may be your best bet with a strict timeline. This is especially true if the new construction on a new construction home you're interested in has yet to be started. You may say to yourself, okay, I'm gonna put down a down payment on a new construction property, and they're telling me it'll be done in 9 months, and I'm gonna base my timeline off of that. Well, every time I've built a new construction property, something has gone wrong where it delayed the process and delayed that estimated completion date. Also, you may be like me and not even want a cookie cutter style home where your house basically looks like everyone else on the block. So if you want something with more character and more traditional, there are flaws, but it has a lot of style and character are very hard to recreate with a new construction property. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Have you been looking at new construction? Have you bought new construction and regretted it or loved it? Have you bought an older home and regretted it or loved it as well? Would love to know your thoughts on this matter. And yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.